I thought trouble was something you were supposed to stay out of. Trouble was a negative word. I never knew you were supposed to go and get in trouble. But the truth of the matter is, if you take a song like
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Well, you say, what does it mean? Telling you to wade in the water and promising you that it's going to be rough. And of course, you go there to the water because you don't want to be where you are before you go into the water. You have to really be ready to never again see the you that you are standing before this trouble. And really, the you that you are dies. You have to say goodbye to a part of yourself. You have to really be ready. Oh, you don't have to be ready. You just have to push yourself. But trouble is the only way that you achieve change in your life. I first came across this quote by Dr. Bernice Johnson Reagan, the composer, activist, and historian, while reading the book Troubling the Waters: Black-Jewish Relations in the American Century. In this book, Professor Cheryl Lynn Greenberg challenges the oft-held notion that Jewish and Black communities continue to have a legacy of devoted and steadfast alliance, an alliance often encapsulated by the image of Abraham Joshua Heschel marching alongside his friend and colleague, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Many of us are familiar with this image, the two walking in parallel step, arms linked, and accompanied by a Sefer Torah to the same destination, towards liberation, towards the promised land. This summer, I have seen that image of Martin Luther King Jr. and Abraham Joshua Heschel walking hand in hand more times than I can ever remember. As a rabbinical student, I admit that perhaps I am subscribed to my fair share of emails from Jewish organizations. So it's not surprising that along with the many emails I receive from Lululemon, J. Crew, and the New York Times, asserting their commitments to inclusion and diversity, those alike from Jewish organizations also came with reminders of the incredible work that our Jewish community has done in allyship with the American civil rights movement. And of course, they would not be complete without this picture of one of our most beloved scholars and rabbis, Abraham Joshua Heschel, next to the civil rights hero, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a reminder that we as Jews have done this work before, and it is work that we are proud of. That pride is a legacy that is beholden to my own values, not only as a Jew, but also as a person of color, as a woman, and as an American. But I wonder, for how long have I depended on this work for how long have I depended on this picture to do the work for us? And how long will we as Jews depend on this picture to do the work laid out for our future generations? These questions arose for me in discussion with my white Jewish friends and family about racially charged and racist events that occurred this summer. Emulating the company emails that I received from J. Crew and Warby Parker, I listened to my white friends commit themselves to becoming better allies. I read numerous Facebook posts from acquaintances who had, quote, just had enough. And with trepidation, I affirm their statements of commitment and change. With trepidation, because I wasn't sure that those commitments would be as important to them in 3 months' time. Why? Because, God willing, the violence would abate, and they, as white individuals, would have the distinct privilege of relieving themselves of this pursuit of justice and humanity. Because maybe they would forget the belabored breathing of George Floyd as he said the words, "I can't breathe." And so here we are, give or take 3 months later, and I ask you, when was the last time you truly thought about the life of Breonna Taylor? As Jews, we can attest to the importance of allyship in the pursuit of justice and humanity. We can attest to the deep pain of the loss that results from walking the path of the righteous alone. We can attest to the exhaustion of the consistent struggle to affirm what should be a simple truth of our humanity. When did we forget that God troubled the Red Sea so that we may cross through to the Promised Land? When did we forget that striving for justice is not a momentary afterthought that we have only when convenient, but a continuous, tiring struggle to trouble the waters in all the places that have yet to feel the promise of the divine leading them to freedom? This is a feeling that we felt when the waters parted for us. In his speech, Religion and Race, Rabbi Heschel states, "The prophet's great contribution to humanity was the discovery of the evil of indifference. The prophet is a person who suffers harm done to others. All of prophecy is one great exclamation. God is not indifferent to evil. The prophet is always concerned. The prophet is personally affected by what man does to other man. He is a God of pathos." We are familiar with what it means to embody a prophecy of exclamation. Our temple stands strong in defiance of the evils that Heschel speaks of, with the prophetic words of Micah emboldened on our building's facade for anyone who passes by to see. To do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Rabbi Larry Hoffman speaks about the last line of this verse, to walk humbly with our God. He says, it takes the word with, a symbol of mutuality. If we walk with God, then God must walk with us. God as our walking partner. A humble walk with God each morning is likely to reinforce acting justly and loving mercy. What does it teach us? That it all boils down to the company we keep, who our walking partner is. This year, we have been forced to reflect with extreme urgency this very idea. The company we do keep, the people with whom we would like to spend our precious time in life. But who is the company that we do not yet keep? Those whose seconds, minutes, days, and years are limited based solely on the color of their skin, on their gender or sexual orientation, on their religious beliefs. Those who need us as walking partners in the journey to the Promised Land. We were those people. We still are those people. We will be those people until one day we may say that all people are free. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Zichronam Livraha, wrote a 2013 Supreme Court dissent, quoting the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But it only bends that way if there is a steadfast commitment to see the task through to completion. These are the words of prophets, whose prophecies will be realized only if we continue the journeys that they started. At Temple Emanu-El, we have the added benefit of having each other as walking partners. This year, our temple will be embarking on its own journey to strengthen the anti-racism learning and advocacy that we do as part of our mission to live up to the prophetic words of Micah that have been an indelible part of who we are. On Yom Kippur, we will be hosting a panel discussion about racial diversity and inclusion within our own community. We will also welcome all those who would like to join us on Temple Emanu-El's Racial Justice Initiative to engage with each other about difficult conversations about race continuously throughout the year. In this new year, Rosh Hashanah, may we walk humbly with God, humbly alongside others, and thoughtfully trouble the waters. Also, that we may bend the arc of the moral universe towards justice, towards a new birth, creation of a promised land in which we take care of the company we keep. Shana Tova.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.